The Art Beat, a weekly program putting you in touch with artists and arts events from the J.T. and Margaret Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts at Texas Tech University. Hello and welcome to this week's Art Beat on KLZK FM 105.7. Good weekend to you. This is Peter Martins, your host, coming to you from the Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts at Texas Tech University. And I'm here at the end of our academic year with Professor Seth Davis from the School of Music. Hello, Seth.
Hi.
So Seth is relatively new at Tech. He's going to, I think, tell us all about the various hats he wears. But one of those is as the conductor of a brand new community ensemble in town called the Dust Coast Winds. So I certainly want to ask you about the name of that ensemble. But
sure, yeah.
Why don't you first tell us about how does this ensemble kind of fit into the ecosystem of the School of Music and other community ensembles that exist?
Sure. So there's kind of like there's a subcontext in any school of music, or maybe a question that like is echoing constantly, maybe in other people's minds, but in my mind, like, you know, what are you going to do with this degree? And some schools of music that I've been a part of are like solely educational units. Some of them live more as civic units. I spent the last year of my doctorate teaching at Normandale Community College up in St. Paul, Minneapolis, Twin Cities. And that school was very much like a civic. Like the School of Music, the music department had a educational purpose, but it also had a civic purpose for the like community members and the students to collaborate together to make a wind ensemble that like was way better than it had any business being. Okay. And I was just an interim, and I was really surprised and inspired by the dedication that the members had to not just show up to just have the player experience of an ensemble, but also to have the community building experience and the project building experience and a lot of these values that I'm trying to put into play with Dust Coast. Those things were already like primed and ready to go. So my charge with Dust Coast is basically, creating a wind ensemble, but I'm trying to do it where the experience has a level of depth, as much depth as the players/members want.
Gotcha. Okay.
In it. And because it's a small group right now, we have the luxury to do that, but it's been really inspiring. You know?
Great. Yeah. And it's, growing up in the upper Midwest, I am familiar with the, kind of small colleges in certain towns that have kind of the town and gown orchestra or the town and gown band. So this replicates something like that, but it joins some of the other ensembles that I think have been featured on this show in the past. At least one of them has. The Lubbock Chorale, right, is the choral version, and then there's the
Lubbock Civic
version.
Orchestra.
Okay.
Yep.
So this kind of rounds out the offerings, I guess, of our traditional ensembles in that, and I think there's a gospel choir and such. Future shows.
There's a guitar orchestra, a community guitar orchestra that meets on Tuesday nights now. It's all on Tuesday night that we have
the community night,
community rehearsals. And then I think the other organizations are more education based.
Sure. Okay.
But those are the performance units. So
okay. So you've just come to Lubbock now. This is your first year?
Yep.
Gosh, it seems like more than that already, but that's because you've, I think, integrated yourself into the culture so well already. So your position in the School of Music is actually to run this ensemble, but also in this division called the Music Humanities, right? Yeah. Tell us about that. I think it's a relatively new division in the School of Music.
Yeah, it is. It serves, I think, the largest amount of students in the university out of all of the School of Music, since we work mostly with non-music majors.
Okay.
So all of your introduction to popular music, survey courses is the term, your music and Western civilization, which is a course that I'm teaching, along with more higher level songwriting courses and individual study, maybe not applied study. I'm not sure. Again, I'm new, so don't quote me on any of this.
We won't hold you to anything you say here.
But it's a division that concerns itself, I think, kind of A, with the non-Western art forms. Okay. And then B, with the the music education of all.
Okay, broad-based, chemists and whatever.
Yeah, yes. I had a nursing major doing freestyle rap this morning. Which is not a normal morning for me. We had guests in my hip hop class, so but she's a particularly brave student, so I was real glad that she volunteered, so I didn't have to.
Yeah, excellent. So, wow, that's great. And boy, to see students who think they can't or shouldn't, even in this academic context, right? Like, I'm not a music major, I can't do that. See them come out of their shells in that respect. That's great. And it's certainly good for the art form and for the support of music and the arts in society as well, I think. So thank you for being in those particular trenches and doing that particular work. That's just as important as anything, I think. Great. So Dust Coast Winds. It's this wind ensemble. Now, I guess our audience probably isn't really scratching its head about the name Dust Coast, but how did you come to it? Was it something that kind of was given to you, or were you here long enough that you came up with it?
No, I'm not going to take any credit for the naming. I will give all credit to Sarah McCoyne, the director of bands here, and Hannah Porter.
Okay.
Who's one of our community admin experts at the School of Music. I think one of them, I don't know exactly who, was like, oh, you should go after this concept of Dust Coast.
Embrace the embrace the dust, huh?
And then and within that, it was the context of like, some businesses here having that like as their aesthetic.
Right.
Like, this is the Dust Coast version of grilled cheese sandwiches.
Right.
Or soda. I think there's a Dusty Coast, like dirty soda.
Oh, really?
Drive-through place.
Okay.
So some folks, I have to remind them, like, it's not Dusty Coast Winds. Like, that's a little like, it's a little set, like, it's a little like, we definitely, like, I love camp. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's a little campy for us.
Okay.
So I think one of them suggested, oh yeah, you should go towards this Dust Coast thing, and then another one of them suggested Dust Coast Wind Ensemble, and then I kind of settled on Dust Coast Winds.
It's very
because it
punchy.
has that, it has that punchy kind of like branding element to it, and I love an abbreviation, and I love a forced capitalization in abbreviation. So being able to go capital D, lower cap C, caps W, just like it feels good to type when you're sending an email, which it's everything.
Okay, so DCW.
Yeah, DCW.
Right?
Yeah,
okay.
I just refer to it as DCW to people.
Wow, great. Yeah, and I have seen that phrase in various, like you say, businesses around. There's an embracing of that aesthetic, as you put it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. So tell us a little bit about the ensemble. It's like brand new, right?
Yeah.
The first performance is coming up in
May 12th.
let's talk about that right away.
Yeah, May 12th at 7:30 p.m. at Hemley Recital Hall, and which is where we rehearse too. We're really grateful for that. And there's currently 28 members in the group.
Okay, that's a wind ensemble.
Plus me. Yeah, it is. And we put out some flyers, advertising for auditions, just because again we were looking for like this culture of like, we want you to show up and be able to play. This is like a Texas music education term, but like we want you to play like grade 4 to 5 level music.
Okay.
Maybe 3 at a minimum. That's the general expectation of the group, and I explained that in the audition/interview.
Okay.
And that brought in a certain number of people who just signed up, and then a certain percentage of that number actually showed up to audition.
Even adults, there's some attrition there, huh? Is that right?
No comment. and fortunately, we were really lucky with instrumentation. We had like, probably 40% brass, 55% woodwinds, and then a very small amount of percussion.
Interesting.
But very well distributed across single reed, double reed, flute, brass, choir.
Yeah, I would guess you had like 18 flutes and 10 drummers, and
there's some like it's the adage about like preparation and luck and all those things, and we were blessed by a little bit of luck.
Okay.
But no percussionists, but a lot of band directors, and in every audition/interview, I had a question of like, what interest/comfort/experience would you have to hop on a percussion part?
Oh, interesting.
So we have, in my programming, I made sure not to pick like a ton of rudimentary stuff, but we have several band directors in the group, like high school and middle school band directors who have equipment. Because the biggest issue is practice. I can't sign out a practice xylophone. Through the School of Music. That
right.
The paperwork is just not within the scope of this operation, and nor would you have that expectation for any community ensemble.
Sure, yeah.
But you wouldn't expect somebody who doesn't play percussion to just own a marimba to practice.
It would be rare. I would think.
That's just you're not going to find that at
the coffee table
estate
approach.
scales. Yeah. So the programming process I had to be very careful about, but we have a team of about like 6 to 7 members that are rotating through the group. That some of them are like quite good at percussion, and some of them have like solid actual experience, and some of them have like developed quite nicely over the course of the rehearsal process. And for them, that's like one of the reasons why they come back, because they're getting this level of depth. I think that's like challenging and engaging, a little unique.
Yeah, yeah. So as you look to the future and probably growth, I'm guessing. I mean, you want to put out a particular recruiting ask here? I mean, obviously you need a couple percussionists, it sounds like.
We need. I mean, we're looking for any wind, brass, string bass. That's a pretty common instrument that exists in the wind band medium, or percussionist, classical or otherwise, who's interested in participating in a group that will expand their musical boundaries. Kind of that's kind of, for me, like number one.
Right.
In all things I do. And then B, like there is this element of challenge and striving for like a high level of musical quality through collaboration.
Okay.
And that is not something that you build overnight.
Right.
That is something that you build through the way that you treat people in rehearsal and validating members when they say things like, oh, it would be really helpful if we had recordings of rehearsals. And sharing those recordings with the players and saying out loud in rehearsal, I'm really happy to be conducting this group, but I'm only one out of 30 sets of ears. And having taught public school in Texas and having just taught public school band, there is a culture of conductor-based top-down leadership. I've got many degrees in it. I love it. Like it's my favorite thing to do is conduct.
Right.
And like my close tie with playing with my toddler. And like, I don't disagree with the musical leadership of conducting, but I think there could be a huge amount of growth in the way that ensembles are run. Not even from an administrative perspective, just from like what is the philosophy that we have? Like, I loved playing in rock bands and jam bands growing up, and like in high school, and I loved the collaborative feeling.
Yeah, no conductor there.
There's no conductor, yeah. So I think I'm always kind of chasing that.
Okay.
So the players on some rehearsals they're like, hey, we just want to play. But on some rehearsals, I can feel like, there's this thing I've been wanting to say about this for a week now, and this is my chance to be like not just an active participant, but like a leader. Right, in this environment. Right. So that's kind of like the plug. Like if you want to be somewhere where you really feel like you're not just playing, but you're heard.
Well, that's a nice ethos in the group. It sounds
I think that is like, for however many people are in the group, that's the type of culture that I would want to have, whether it's 30 or whether it's 65.
Okay.
Which we'd probably max out for the scope of what we're doing at 70.
Size of rehearsal space and everything.
And then we'd have to like, the auditions, again, folks, there will be auditions in the fall and in the spring. We're going to hold them at the beginning of every semester for, the next several years until we have a more set leadership system. And we're forming as a formal nonprofit and, moving into our own structural independence very soon, actually. But, I am more looking for people who are hip with that philosophy than can play circles around their instrument.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's helpful to understand.
Because those types of things like will come with a quality group of people and nurturing. Yeah, I mean, I worked with a community brass band for the past 3 years before I moved up here, called the Minneapolis Brass Ensemble.
Okay.
And I heard adults like my parents' age get better at their instruments. Sure. And that was like moving for me to hear that. Just, I think literally.
And they probably noticed it as well, right?
They did. Yeah. They did. And it created a culture that was like really like addictive to be around.
Great.
Yeah.
So the rehearsals, just to be clear, Tuesday nights, right? It's what, once
Tuesday
a week
night,
commitment?
6 to 7:30, once a week commitment. Yep.
Okay.
We're really, like being a product of kind of the modern wind band movement. I'm a big proponent of like medium-sized chamber music. So like brass ensembles, woodwind ensembles, mixed ensembles. So we do some chamber music that may sometimes meet outside of those hours to lengthen the concert. But that's always like a sign up, like confirmation thing. The core group meets from 6 to 7:30.
Gotcha.
Yep.
And the inaugural first ever concert of the Dust Coast Winds coming to us May 12th at 7:30. Did you
7:30.
7:30 at Texas Tech School of Music, Hemley Recital Hall.
Yeah.
So great. I want to thank our guest today, Professor Seth Davis from the School of Music and the founding conductor, I guess, founding whatever conceiver even of the Dust Coast Winds, one of the growing arsenal of community-based ensembles.
That's an appropriate word.
Yeah, it's really great, and it's lovely for me to see the parking lot at the School of Music so full after hours on a Tuesday night, because I know it's all folks from the community that are there just doing it for the love of music.
Yeah, and we love that. That's just why we do it. So,
great.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Bye-bye, everyone. We'll see you next week. The Art Beat, a weekly program putting you in touch with artists and arts events from the J.T. and Margaret Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts at Texas Tech University.